So you ask, how do we raise the water without a pump? Well, you're not actually raising the water. You're breaking the water into its respective gases. The bottom here in the anode, that's where the oxygen is pulled from the system and is vented out of the system. It venting out of the system is what's used to create the pressure bubble that not only creates the pressure that is the pressure of the system, it also, as it's coming out, makes a oxygen gap separating the system from the outside environment or nature itself. The hydrogen goes out of one of the holes in the southern wall of the grotto area and is brought up into the top of the king's chamber where they find the seeds, the cells, and the dust. And it is mixed together with the ambient air from outside through the one and only shaft that pierces the surface of the structure. And in there, when they burn back together, you get water. Now that is how you get water from a lower level to a higher level. And the only thing you're really raising is hydrogen, and that will raise itself. The oxygen is already within the air, 72% by volume, 21% by volume oxygen, 72% by volume nitrogen, 78% by volume. God, I don't even have these numbers down, do I? Well, I know them. I don't know where I'm throwing them out from, but 1% carbon dioxide, which makes Al Gore happy because it all gets burned together and becomes something. It all becomes something. And this is where nature, recreating this and observing what happens, will tell us what their true goal was. But we can see most of it is that this cycle will wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. And as it does it, the water within the system will be becoming heavier and heavier. And you can see by its reaction, it's mostly using the same waters repetitively. The only thing it's pulling in is oxygen and air from a higher elevation. And the water is coming in from here, and that's not going to be a high volume of water because it maintains the pressure bubble, which causes the water not to be gushing in. It is maintaining its own flow. Now the water within the system is at pressure, and then we use that within the second side where it comes in to the area. Let's see where about it is. Yeah, it's about there. There, comes down, over and up. This actually comes down to a lower lip, and then this is the upper section here. Okay, this is the second side. You will notice, now I didn't draw this to scale, but this hallway here is going to be below the floor line, just below the well within the Queen's Chamber. They like to call the Queen's Chamber, I like to call the Ark Chamber. And just above the ceiling level of the, what you want to call the grotto. That will maintain the, when we look into this, you'll see what it maintains. Optically, I want you to look at that. The area down here is actually going to be between the bottom of the, the pit itself is going to be, the bottom of the pit is going to be in line with the bottom of the pit down here. But the area up here is going to be such that the waters in here can migrate into here because they're coming over lateral. They don't have to go up, they don't have to come down, they're going across. And when they do that, from here we're going to have a gas coming up. I'm going to suggest to you oxygen. This is going to be taking this already, quote, pressurized water and bringing it into here. And then since the gas here is going to be coming up, it's going to be adding additional pressure to it. And as this additional pressure is being added, it will not only add pressure, it will also, as it comes down, toggle back and forth between the conduit between the two and be changing the polarity. So in my opinion, the water in here is going to be being jostled from one polarity to the other. The pull is going to keep going back and forth, the way I read the system. So you're going to have some magical properties happening in here. Now there's also the cut through over here, and you will notice the area over here that is set up to capture the condensation is going to be, the top there is going to be just below the water level within this conduit. And like I said, the floor here is just below there. So this will be equivalent to being within here if we squished it down and put it in place. So it will be capturing whatever condensation would be occurring if it were in here. Only the polarity is bouncing back and forth, so the pole of the natural ambient flow of electrons throughout our world is going to be jostling back and forth in a primarily, I'm going to suggest, higher frequency, the way it shorts to the elevation up here, the ambient air up here, that is 450 feet above sea level up there. Sorry, 550 feet, 480 feet above the ground level, but 550 feet if we look at it above sea level. This one here is collecting the static electricity. That static electricity is what allows us to burn the waters back together, and may or may not be part of why the waters actually break. I think that energy is coming from a different source. They talk about piezoelectricity, they talk about different types of electricity. I think there is a little bit of trickle charge ambient electricity ambient within the world, which is why we have earth batteries and things like that. Now, we today don't look at something like this as being an out of place artifact, but this little micro amount of electricity would not have helped us 2 decades ago do anything, but today this and a nice sunny day can charge your cell phone. Try that 2 decades ago when your cell phone was a big brick. It wouldn't have helped you. Today we understand trickle amounts of electricity much better than we used to. I urge you to really consider looking at this as a system. I think I've detailed it as much as I can. The pieces are all in place. Even if I'm completely wrong and this is still some pharaoh to some tomb somewhere. Oh, sorry, it's not a tomb. It's not a pharaoh to a tomb. It's a monument, because the tombs are on the other side. They're in the Valley of the Kings, right? These are just monuments. So when they say the progression would go through here, no, this is a monument. They can't even keep their story straight. Can I tell you that I really want people to wake up? This is something that I'd love to see. I'd love some high school kid to do this as a project within their high school, or even some engineering student to just draw it out as, same way people make roller coasters and they make that as school projects. This will work as a machine. What the end goal we may not get yet, but as we fine-tune what's going on here, we will understand more of what's happening. If nothing else, we're making heavy water. I think there's more secrets to be found. Elements, compounds that we yet don't appreciate, that these guys knew and understood. This worked. That you can see the scarring within the system, that this was at one point functioning. You don't understand the scarring unless you see the flow of the system, which I'll be glad to detail and spend time showing anybody who actually has the will to listen. Thank you.